Grace and peace, fam. This is Jess.herriott. Just wanted to, I'm a spiritual teacher, by the way, in case you didn't know. For those that are just tuning in to these metaphysical insights, those of you that are regulars, thank you so much for your support. These videos were inspired by Spirit. I just wanted to do it just to give these nuggets that I've been sharing in workshops all throughout the Southeast. And as Spirit gives them to me, I'm just the mailman, so I wanted to deliver them to you. Perhaps they will help bless and enrich your life as they've done mine. This insight today comes from the book of John. I often say that we don't see mythology as it is, we see it as we are. And so, of course, we don't experience the world as it is per se. We experience the world as we are. So the world, mythology, they all are reflections of the self and of the soul. And so if you can be open to that realization, you will always be working on yourself. The world, mythology, everything will always show you yourself, which means that you always have opportunities to grow because yourself, whether good, bad, up, down, left, right, your mistakes, all of that stuff is ever before you. So number one, it keeps you humble. And number two, it keeps you on the path for growth. So this particular insight comes from the book of John in the New Testament in Christian mythology. It says, and it's quoted to be one of the sayings of Jesus. We can go back and forth as to whether or not Jesus said it. I suggest you check out the Jesus Seminar and their argument on some of the red words that are in the Christian Bible. But nevertheless, if we were to look at this information allegorically and metaphorically, the scripture that I'm referencing says that if I be lifted up from the earth, I will draw all men unto me. Well, I believe that the earth is literally our lives. It's our physical body. It's the physical body, and I believe is our consciousness. You know, so if we lift up our eyes, our I ams, our self identification, I am in Latin is ego. So if we can lift up our egos, those the essence that we think we are. When I say my name is Jesse, it's Jesse is who I think I am. The thoughts in my head, they arise from the ego. But just to pause for a second, whether you know it or not, I think, and scholars have said this too, that we are in essence pure consciousness. Consciousness itself, which sits and watches, and our individual eyes, our individual egos, our self-identities, they are individual drops which arise from this cosmic ocean. And in the state of meditation, what you want to do is to meditate, I guess, meditate down to connect with this cosmic state of oneness. Because in this state, in this place, is peace and it's relaxation, and tension drops and disappears. It's the space between thoughts, it's the space beyond thoughts, and it's the space that permeates thoughts. In essence, it permeates all things. To borrow from another scripture, in this consciousness, this cosmic oneness, we live, move, and have our being, and it also lives, moves, and has its being in us. But to get back to my point and not get sidetracked, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. That's the myth from the book of John, the particular statement. And I believe, again, the eyes are our individual selves, our individual egos. In the East, they have a particular teaching on the ego. In the West, it's slightly different. One may make it seem like the ego is bad and nasty and it gets in the way. And then in the West, a healthy ego is necessary because it helps us to choose and to have self-confidence and self-direction and self-actualization and all of that. But I don't want to focus on any of those arguments. I just want to let you know that whenever we lift up our eyes, we lift up our egos from the earth. When we lift up our egos out of its physicality, when we lift it up, this self-awareness, lift it up as high as we can, we draw all men, all manifestation, all manner. We draw all manner of things unto us that correspond with it. When we lift up our eyes from the earth, we draw all manifestation that correspond with it. So when we lift up ourselves, our countenances, we draw all manner of upliftingness to us. When we lift up our countenance, when we lift up our consciousness, our individual selves, our egos, when we lift it up in a healthy sense, we draw positivity. So we lift up ourselves so that we may draw optimistic things. We may draw positive conclusions, positive insights, because from a negative place or a state, it's hard to see possibility or optimism. Joy corresponds with joy. In order to see joy in the world, you have to first identify it in the self. We often say that the best lovers are those that have a healthy relationship with their self and with their soul. They're able to, in essence, fall in love with themselves and then fall in love with the world. It's very difficult to fall in love with the world outside of you if you aren't first in love and have a strong relationship with the self. You can be easily manipulated, you know, and twist and turned. As the old folks used to tell us, that if you don't have a mind, that there's a system out there that will give you a mind, so to speak. It will give you an identity, and it may not be the identity you want. So I say to you today, develop a strong sense of self. Go within before you go without. Literally, go inside before you go outside, and go within before you go without, because I believe that a portion of the reason why we lack is because we're searching for something to give us fulfillment when fulfillment is inside. You know, this is where source is. Out there is supply. Is well, this is where source is. Out there is just the effects of source. This is the cause, that's the effect. So turn inside today. Turn inside. Connect with yourself. Connect with your soul. Go within before you go without, before you go outside, before you go lacking. Turn within, relax, come back home, come back to self. When your thoughts dance around and you start comparing yourself and your life to where you think you should be, when you start going in the past and going in the present. And let me just say this has nothing to do with this video, but many times when we're in conversation and when we're doing things, we really aren't present with that thing completely. We're either somewhere in the past or somewhere in the present. Try to cultivate present-centered awareness, and that helps to lift yourself up. You know, when you're feeling down, ask yourself, am I feeling down because of something from the past, or because of my disappointment or my doubt or unbelief about something in the future, which hasn't happened yet? Try to get right here, present, right here, right now, what's going on. Nothing else matters. The only thing that matters is right here. And if you can get back here, get back present, get back centered, it's easy to make the next step, because you make it with such an infusion of consciousness that it's deliberate. And I do believe that the universe corresponds around that, that it's easy to see good, it's easy to pick yourself up, because first of all, you have a good grip of the self. You can't grip yourself, your mind, your thoughts, when you got a piece of yourself in the past and a piece of yourself in some future. Now is the only time that matters. Now is the closest thing to eternity that we could ever grasp. You know why? Because 10 minutes from now, it will be now. 10 minutes from that time will be now. Now is a very long time. The future may never happen. The past is just a memory, and the way that we remember it may not be exactly the way that it happened. And if you don't believe that, ask someone else about the same circumstance, and they will give you an entirely different scenario, possibly. So now is the only time that matters. Get into the now. And while in the now, and anchor yourself in the now and the present, lift up yourself, because yourself is easily grasped in the now, because you can get a hold of yourself and you're not sprung all over the place in the past or the future. Get a hold of yourself, and then lift that self up, and I promise you, you will draw all men, all manner unto you that matches the state in which you are at. If I lift up my soul, then I will draw everything to that particular level. If my soul is down, then all I'm going to do is see things that are down and see things that are negative. If I'm pessimistic, it's because I'm in a pessimistic state on the inside. If I lift myself up, then I will see possibility, positivity, etc. You get the hint. That's all I got for today, guys. Join me next time for another metaphysical insight. My name is Jess.herriott. My website is www.fulfillment.com, and you can type in Jess.herriott, and it'll take you directly there into Google, and all of my information is there. Thank you so much for joining and for supporting the work. Peace and blessings. Hotep. Mayat. Namaste.